Welcome back, and this is part 2 of emotional responsibility training. So we talked a little bit about the emotional spin cycle. Everybody has an emotional spin cycle. It comes with the birth certificate and your limbic brain in this body. And most people have experienced in their life anger and fear. Some people say, oh, I never get angry. And I'm like, well, do you get impatient? Yeah. Do you get irritated? Yeah. Frustrated? Yeah. You get angry. It's a variation of a theme under the header anger, for sure. It may not be rageful anger, but everybody experiences these two core emotions. And that's why I have them in this teaching piece, because it's really important that you befriend these two core emotions that you have, because they drive everything. And in between these emotions are all other contractive emotions. But not everybody gets bored. Not everybody gets to the depth of despair or gets depressed. But everybody at some point is dealing with the core emotions of anger and fear. And so it's very important to understand how they work, how their wiring is, and how you can be responsible with these core emotions. Anger, I start with the core emotion of anger. And anger comes when we feel like something we value has been violated. So that's usually why we get pissed, is something has happened that we either perceive that we have a violation and or it has actually happened. You know, being judged, being disrespected, not listened to, not being included, not being considered, not being seen, known, and heard with accuracy. There's lots of values that we have that get stepped on. And so when you get angry, you can look and see first, ask the question, what am I angry about? Because you may not know initially, you have to work it a little. And then the second is to say, well, where's the violation? You know, well, I wasn't respected, or, you know, I wasn't, you know, listened to. They didn't believe me. I have this thing, I have this pattern where people don't believe me, you know. So you call it out. What is, you know, what's your thing that keeps getting pinged? And anger is an important emotion. It's like the nerve endings on your fingers that tell you the stove is hot. This tells you something is off. You are hurting. You are out of balance. You are misperceiving possibly, and or you are perceiving accurately, but something needs your attention. So I like to use the term hailing device. I'm a Trekkie from way back. And so when you look at how you get angry about things as an ally, instead of, you know, back you beast, you know, I don't want to ever be angry. And in spiritual communities, sometimes anger and fear emotions are thought of as bad and wrong. And if you're going to be your authentic self, you're going to feel all emotions. And these two contractive negative emotions happen in a given day, in a given week, and month, year, and so on. And with certain people, certain breakdowns ignite this in us. So if you want to be an authentic person, authentic feeling person, you're going to want to befriend these two emotions. So I have fear that's under anger. Anger is driven by fear. And so in some ways, if you get pissed or angry, it's almost kind of like a detour. It's like, you know, you're kind of just feeling, you know, the exaggeration. And as I tell my clients, I'm Irish and Scot, and so I'm fiery. So I'm more anger-based. I reach for anger quickly. Some people are more fear-based, more anxious and nervous Nelly kind of energy, high anxiety. And there's a lot of high anxiety in the kids and the teens. And, you know, hopefully this messaging will get to that community sooner than later. But it's important to understand that what's also underneath anger is something you're afraid of. So if you're not being respected, you may worry about that this can continue. If you're not being seen, known, and heard with accuracy, then you're feeling empty in that relationship. You're feeling, is this ever going to change? Am I always going to have to deal with this with these people? So there's always fear underneath. And the thing about anger is it's kind of like a circuit board on your chest. It's never just one value that's getting stepped on. It's a circuit board. It's several values that are getting hit at once. And that's why it's very exaggerated expression sometimes. And it's the same with fear. Fear is like a circuit board that's on your belly. And so you may have 3 or 4 fears that are getting hit by a particular breakdown or incident. And that's why it can be so charged. That's what gives the fuel, the fire to emotions and communications exchanges. And then we try and throw aggressiveness or passive aggressive or passivity on top of that as a way of communicating. It's why it doesn't work. You cannot work things out if you are spinning out. And you can quote me. So you want to get out of spinning when you are. So it's important to, ask yourself the questions, what am I angry about? What are the triggers? Why did it show up? What is it showing me? What am I really thinking and feeling? And then look at the fears that are underneath it. And so this is the emotional component of our emotional spin cycle. We also have a lot of content that is in our emotional spin cycle, which will be a separate video. But for now, to just work with these core contractive emotions and to get in right relationship. When you befriend fear, you will become more emotionally free. When you use it as a messenger instead of squashing it or numbing it with food or television or scrolling, or the other heavy hitters of drugs and alcohol and sex and the other gambling, whatever. So we tend to numb ourselves off of and away from these feelings instead of going, thank you. Thank you for showing me that I was off, that I was out of balance, that I didn't really do well in that conversation with that person. And I need to call them back and say, hey, this didn't work for me. Did it work for you? I want to work something out with you. So it's very, very important to respect the emotions that come, but not get tumbled by them, not spin out with them, and not to become them. For people that battle depression, you have to understand that the depression is about stuffed, numbed, cut off anger. And a wonderful exercise that I learned from my spiritual teacher with anger is to have a journal. It can be a spiral notebook that you'll toss in a dumpster one day, but just set a timer, 20 minutes a day, and write out all the stuff that you're pissed about. And you can make a column in the back of your journal book there, or your notebook, and all the things that you know already that pisses you off. And for 20 minutes, you set your timer and you write out anything that comes. You don't have to worry about grammar. You don't have to worry about somebody's reading this or, going to see this. Hopefully it's not something you necessarily share. It's for you. But it works, and you do it until you are clear. And so it's a great way to causally purge. And then when the timer goes off, you close your book, maybe wash your face, wipe the tears away, and then you go about your day. And then, the next day comes, and do it for at least 2 weeks. I challenge all of you. If you have a lot of anger, if you have a lot of deep depression, do the anger process and write it out until there's nothing there. And eventually you'll set the timer and you'll be ready with your pen and you'll go, I'm not really feeling any upsets. Well, that's good. Do it again the next day because new things come. And if you've had a painful exchange in a given day, go to your anger journal, write it out, get it out. Don't carry it. part of these breakdowns that are happening in the world right now, and this acting out and grabbing a, AK-47, is because they're blocked up. They're blocked up with a lot of pent up emotion. I call it cardiac constipation. And, they're spinning out. They have no outlet. They have no appropriate way to express these emotions. So, and then with the fears, to look at the fear, what is the fear that's running things? So a lot of time when we have power loss, when we've lost our voice due to traumas, due to environments where we are not heard or it's welcomed. I grew up in the era of children to be seen and not heard. Wasn't that lovely? So, and here I am, a profuse communicator. So anyway, I've made up for lost time. So I love teaching people how to communicate, how to clear their hearts, how to work with the content that comes there because it's coming up for a reason. So you want to respect it. So the anger work is going to be very, very important. And then with fears, just look at what scares you. There are two kinds of fears, mostly. And one is unrealized fear and one is realized fear. Unrealized is what you're afraid of has never really happened. And realized fear is life events that have actually happened to you. So being judged, being misunderstood, being disrespected, a lot of people have had that happen. So, but it's good to know, am I dealing with a realized fear or an unrealized fear? What's going on, particularly with couples? Have they done the thing that you think they are doing, or you accuse them of doing, or you sense or feel that they are doing? And this is where it's tricky, like with affairs. When the person will not tell the truth, yet the other person feels and knows something. But sometimes people feel and know something around affairs that aren't happening, and that's really hard on the partner as well. So it's tricky. And what I am always hoping for in the conscious dating training and work is that people pick partners who are willing to work out issues to completion, no matter how long it takes. That they're willing to unpack this together. And people come together. Hey, I got stuff. Yeah, I got stuff too. You want to work on it together? Sure, let's work on it together. My little hand puppets. It's like, okay, well, it's going to be hard some days. Yeah, it's going to be hard some days, but we'll get through it. And a term that I like to give couples is from Abraham, who is channeled through Esther Hicks, for those that know. And that is, this is my life working out. And when we're dealing with all kinds of heavy content here, breakdowns, misunderstandings, if we put out the prayer, the intention of this is my life working out, you'll find that it'll be good that breakdown happened because it revealed something you need to pay attention to. Maybe changing a negative belief, maybe changing a way of operating and a way of communicating out of the aggressive or passive-aggressive methods. It'll wake you up. This is a wake-up call when they come. So all breakdowns are an opportunity for growth and change and for finding out what are the appropriate solutions. So you can look at all kinds of different issues that you may have in this breakdown of, what am I angry about? Then what are my values that I feel violated with? And am I afraid? What am I afraid of? And to break it down for yourself. And so this ends part 2, and I'll meet you in the next episode. Take good care.